Welcome to the 2012 Freedom Expression Forum. Today we have two students from the Axel Springer Academy, Alexandra Zykunov and Max Boenke. Sorry for my...
That's all right.
That's all right.
Thank you for joining us and welcome.
Sure.
And before we start, can you tell us a little bit about your academy? What does it do?
We're 20 students, and every half year there's 20 other ones coming in, and we're there for 2 years. And the first half year it's seminars. We learn all about writing comments, writing articles, interviewing people, and so on. And the other 6 months we work at a newspaper, and the second year we work at different newspapers or TV stations or online staff, wherever. How about we sing that?
The last room I stayed in had a weird red light bulb above my bed, and like it was the creepiest thing ever.
Dead?
Everyone used to walk into my room and be like,
okay.
Roxanne.
we can start.
Welcome to the 2012 Freedom Expression.
I think he's just messing with you.
No, I'm not. I want to get this on. Not that I don't enjoy you people, but I like to finish this.
Welcome to the...
Wait, just pause. Give me some time to cut, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Welcome to the 2012 Freedom Expression Forum. Today we have two students from the Axel Springer Academy, Alexandra Zykunov and Max Boenke. Before we start, can you tell us a little bit about your academy? What does it do?
It's 20 journalists there, and we're all young and have a little bit of experience, but we're not fully professionals. And within those 2 years, we learn to become a professional journalist. We learn about how to do interviews, how to write comments, how to write great articles, how to shoot videos, and this is what we do there 2 years long.
Would you like
Well, pretty much for 6 months, and then we learn how to use those tools. We do a newspaper for 6 months, which is called Weltkompakt. It's it's a small newspaper, and then for another year we are at different newspapers.
Okay. How important is freedom of expression in your professional lives, especially at the academy? How is it changing with the increasing role of the internet in your life?
Well, I mean, freedom of expression is, we're journalists, so we use it and we need it every day. The academy, you just learn how to handle it. So you learn how to deal with problems like, having celebrities signing contracts in order to have an interview with them, and and after that, dealing with it in your everyday experience.
And you learn how, if there's certain information that you need and the politicians or maybe their PR agents won't give it to you, you learn certain techniques of how to get the information that you need. You learn about different laws that actually apply to you, which you maybe didn't know about, that you can say, according to this and this paragraph, you have to hand me out this information. And those are great skills that we learn there.
Some say that there's two types of journalists, the idealists and those that are more realist and cynical and go along with the flow. How do you consider yourselves, and how would these types of views affect the way you do journalism?
Well, I guess since we're all still pretty young, I think both of us, and speaking for our young colleagues, we of course are still thinking of the idealistic, fight for freedom of the press and fight for the freedom for information. And I guess, I don't know, it's kind of dangerous to swim with the flow, as you would call it.
Yeah, being cynical might be funny, but it's dangerous if you have it in your daily working flow, because you might become a maybe as a journalist, and you don't want to be a maybe. So,
can you explain a little bit more about this maybe that during the presentation? Was there some philosophical meaning behind it, or a hidden message?
I'm not sure whether we can...
when we talk about being idealistic journalists, it has to do something with passion, and this means, if you're not passionate about your job and the things you do and things you want to fight for, then you're just a maybe. I guess it's nothing that we use every day, but it has just come to term for today. that
Yeah,
expresses
yeah.
what we don't want to be.
And maybe it's the same thing with, you don't want to be swimming with the flow. You don't want to just be writing things like maybe your colleagues do, and you think, oh, well, I guess that's all right. You know, maybe at some point, even with our work, you noticed how if you're researching something, you know, you have your deadlines and you have your boss saying, okay, we need the story now. And sometimes you're like, yeah, I guess I have this number. I have to double check it whether it's right or not. And I guess I can see that some people will be like, oh, well, you know, I'm guessing it's right. But that's not good. You know, you have to stay focused. And even if you're doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, I hope I will, you still, when you're 50, 60, say, no, I have to double check this number and I'm going to double check it. And my boss can wait because I really need to know whether this information is actually accurate or not. So don't be, you know, I guess maybe it's right, but just be sure that it is.
Today, I think we saw a little conflict between generations during the presentation, in case of the Romanian gentleman. What do you have to say about these generational differences? I mean, how can you alter your message within the Academy to bridge the differences between generations?
I mean, yeah, for us, it's like we are the first generation, and I'm talking for Germans, that have a press that is not suppressed. I mean, we enjoy it, the freedom, and we use it, but well, you just have to make sure that you don't forget that it's nothing that stays there forever, and something that you just enjoy but never have to give for something.
And we have, I guess, a different look at it. I mean, like with the video, for example, with a Romanian colleague, I guess we didn't want to insult anyone who grew up in such a suppressive environment, and but
you yourself grew up in a suppressive environment.
yeah, well,
Being from Belarus.
yeah. So I do remember what it's like, and I do remember how, basically, sometimes even like in the video, because in our video we showed how if you don't have freedom of the press, everything is sort of happy and great and there's no problems. And I remember that. I remember when something bad happened, there was always ballet on TV, always perfect people dancing. So you knew, okay, if there's ballet for 4 hours on TV, something bad had happened. And that's horrible. And I don't want to miss that. Or I'm glad I don't have it anymore, and I don't want to miss the freedom of the press. So we didn't want to insult anyone who maybe think that's not the suppressive environment that we showed, but that was our idea of what it might be like in Germany without any freedom of the press.
Can I ask a personal question to each of you?
Sure.
What drove you to join this academy? Was it coming from a certain culture, a certain background?
Well, for myself, it is partly because of, well, just the company is really big, and it has always been the biggest in Europe. And well, my parents have been reading the newspapers. I've been growing up with this company pretty much, and I felt like that I'm on the same line, that I could do something for them and be part of it, and be part of a big newspaper company, just making good news. So.
And for me, I just knew that it's a really, really good school. Like, maybe it's kind of selfish, but I knew it was a really good school, and I want to get in there, and I want to learn all those things that are limited to just a limited amount of people, and I really wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to know how it's done and how it's done good.
Some say that the way cultures are or societies are, they really don't care about the plight of others unless it directly affects them, like when it comes close to home. In the case in Norway, some people say that the Norwegians didn't really bother or even think about shootings in other countries until it happened on a small island. So how can maybe understanding culture or even maybe cultural diplomacy help bridge this gap with the use of journalism or media?
Well, I guess that's something that is always kind of part of my daily life, coming from another background, and there's always discussions about how in Germany, for example, every fifth person has a migrational background coming from another country. That's every fifth, but in the actual staff meetings or staff newspapers, there's only 1/50th person who actually has this background, and that's not good. Like, you can't represent an entire society if only 1 out of 50 has a migrational background. And I think it's very important to understand the people. You don't even have to go outside your country, but inside your country there's so many different cultures living there. And in order to understand them, beyond the cliches that are out there, you need to have people with migrational background working in the newspapers and not only covering the migrational topics, but normal German politics, just maybe from their migrational point of view. That I think is very important.
And about the video, why did you choose the song? I mean, how come you just didn't pick a song just from the internet from somebody else?
Well, because, first of all, we wanted to make it a production that it was made all just by ourselves. So we played the characters, we made up the story. It was a really long process. Well, and the music is, it's part of the, it leads to this end. Well, it begins really slowly, and you think like, it's happy music, and then it just, it gets faster and louder, and to the point where you're like, I can't listen to it anymore. And that's what the story kind of, shows. You always have the same newspapers, you have the same news, everybody's happy. Well, in the beginning it's really nice, you think, sounds really good, looks really good, but then you get it over and over and over again, so it's like, it's an overkill of happiness, which you don't want, because it's not real.
Fair enough. Can I ask about the open ending in the video? What was the point of it?
Well,
can you explain it or
yeah, I
elaborate a
mean,
little bit
the
more?
point of an open end is that it's open to everybody to, it's up to your own imagination what happens. So is it the start of a revolution? This guy who threw out the papers and somebody's knocking saying, you know what, I want to join you because I saw this, or is it the police that says, you get arrested because you threaten our happiness? It's up to you. I mean, that's the most interesting part of it, because it's up to your imagination.
And it also, if it's up to you to decide which ending fits, it's always also up to you to decide, in real life, where is it going? Do you want it to be suppressed press, or do you want it to be a free press? It's up to you to decide both ways.
During the lecture, your director said that media focuses on wants rather than needs. So did that play into the video? For example, it was open-ended because people needed to use their imagination rather than having something being told to them.
Well, that's a nice thought. I haven't thought about that actually. But yeah, if you put it that way, that's a nice way of an ending, that you can't always leave it up to the people, because sometimes you just have news that need to be printed, but you do have the decision to print an interview that had been changed afterwards, times and times. So you do have the choice. That might be the point.
Do you guys have anything else to add, maybe?
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you for being here. I know you have a train to catch, so.
No, but that's great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks you.
Great.